Welcome back to Daybreak Extra on Trust TV. So today in the discussion segment, we are focusing on a critical issue that shapes both individual lives and the future of our nation, the girl-child education. Now, despite some progress, many girls in Nigeria still face major obstacles to getting quality education. So in this segment, we'll look at the key challenges, the gains made so far, and practical ways to break cultural, social, and economic barriers. We'll also highlight the roles government, communities, and individuals must play to ensure every girl has the chance to reach her full potential. So joining us for this discussion is Dr. Hauwa Mustapha Babura, a committed advocate for girl-child education and a technical advisor to the Governor of Jigawa State on education. Welcome to Daybreak Extra, Dr. Hauwa Mustapha Babura.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So what inspired your passion for girl-child education, and what do you believe is the most significant barrier to girls' education in Nigeria?
So I'm an example for myself. You know, the opportunities I have gotten paved the way for me, for my success today, and also helped me throughout my life. Getting married as a Muslim Hausa woman is a key, and I believe education and the awareness of what life is like and how to improve it for myself first before anyone helped me successful in my marriage. Having children also is one of the pillars that motivated me, honestly, to seek education. So when I look at myself and my success in life, I feel like I have to advocate for other girls in order for them to be successful. And given the fact that in these days, you know, even coming to TV and telling people, you know, educate a girl, educate the whole community, it's like a song. Everyone knows it, but are we following through? Are we doing that? Is the question, you know? So that's why in all my advocacy, I'm really, really strong on the pillars that supports the girl-child education.
So the barriers to girls' education in Nigeria, what do you think causes it? What's
Of course, we have poverty, economic hardships, where even though we think people are not aware of the importance of education. For me, having been relocated to Nigeria 2 years now, I'm fortunate also to have the opportunity working for Jigawa State, firsthand to interact with people. I go to villages, all corners and directions, and interact with people. It will surprise you to know that a lot of these rural women, they do understand education is important. But what is making them not to support their girls to go to school is, number one, economic hardship. So they need the girls to help them, you know, increase their economic prosperity, to have food on the table. The second thing is access. Some of these people, they do not have access to schools. Insecurity is everywhere. And one school is 5 kilometers away, 7 kilometers away. You are living within your farm area. During the rainy season, crops are high. The area looks darker. Security is an issue for you to let your girl go through walking to go to school. And another thing is access to simple household gadgets that will help them process food, like, you know, engine to help them process the daily food. So you see a whole village with a population of a lot of people, and they don't have even what we call in Hausa engine neka, that kind of motor thing to put your grain and make it easy so the grinding machine. And so they have to travel to a neighboring village, and when they get there, it's a long line. They don't come back home on time. So they have to leave school early to go do these processes, or sometimes they get to be late going to school. These are some of the common factors we have that is enabling, not allowing girls to really stay in school and be successful. Okay, so among many other reasons.
Okay, so you mentioned something earlier in your introduction. You talked about the pillars of girl education. Can you take us through that?
Yeah, so we have to understand that equality is different from equity.
Yes.
And a lot of people are misunderstanding these two words. Everybody has equality. We have to treat people equally. But when we have to do justice for equality, that's where equity comes in. The needs for a girl, totally different from needs for a boy. Women grow up, puberty kick in differently from boys than girls. A girl will have period. She need access to water. She need access to privacy, to bathroom. You know, open defecation is all visible, you know, especially, I'm sorry to say, in northern Nigeria. It's easy for a boy to just carve around the tree and ease himself. For a lady, she has to squat. You know, and when you have period, you need sanitary pads. A lot of things happen. The hormones are raging. A girl experiencing her puberty is different from a boy experiencing puberty. So this kind of issues needs to be, you know, established under the pillars of supporting girl-child education. We understand supporting a girl to have education, open economic access to family, to a neighborhood, to a state, to a nation altogether. But beyond that, what other barriers are there that are preventing our girls from going to school? Early marriage is one of it too. Because some places, culture dominates all kinds of pathways for the success of us to improving the girl-child education. And again, in northern Nigeria, in total, but specifically the research I have, the facts I have in the north, we have high level of out-of-school children. And among the out-of-school children, you know, girls are more. Because, of course, we have more girls than boys. So you tend to see this numbers. It's different. And what prevents a girl from going to school, like I said, is different from what prevents a boy from going to school. Even though when you look at the labor or helping family, girls go to farm, boys goes to farm also. Girls go to hawking, selling stuff more than boys. A lot of our problem also, when you look at it, is the begging on the streets. Though on the streets you see more boys than girls. But where are the girls? They are doing hard labor. What do you call that? Child labor.
Child labor.
They go to houses, cleaning, babysitting children at home. So even though when you don't see them on the streets, it does not mean they are safe at home. They are in other people's houses working. That's a child labor issue. And we have that all over the place as one of the stumbling blocks that prevents our girls from going to school.
All right, so you mentioned early marriage, and we all know that, especially in northern Nigeria, early marriage is very prevalent. So how can we address the cultural and societal norms that hinder girls' access to education, especially in the northern Nigeria where these issues are on the high side?
So I have to be honest with you. I think we have seen changes a lot in the early marriages because it's failing woefully. Now we have a lot of divorce rate globally. Nigeria is not exceptional to divorce rates. And like I said, economic hardship causing a lot of divorces, all encompassing. But also a lot of what we need to understand is we have a heightened awareness of the importance of girl-child education. And we know that early marriages is not the key and it's preventing our girls from going to school. However, I really believe that economic hardship is the #1 stumbling block that is not allowing parents to let their kids go to school. And again, coming back to the same economic hardship is why they are marrying their children early or their girls early, because when the girl leaves the house, it's less for you to have to feed. And then also you are expecting her, she's doing well and she can bring back home the bacon, as they say it. So it's all, wherever you look at it, is economic hardship. If we have a better way to sustain ourselves, empower women with some kind of skills to fetch for themselves or to support the husbands, you know, with some kind of a system two income like right now is really necessary. So when the woman have nothing to do, she becomes a burden in the house. So therefore the pressure also is kicking her outside to fetch for herself rather than go and seek for education. Another thing is also, even though public school at the early years, like primary, secondary, can be free, but believe me, simple thing as uniform can prevent a child from going to school, because we are enforcing uniforms. And children, girls, there is peer pressure. We must understand, even if the school will not turn a child away for lack of having uniform, but child also has a peer influence. Imagine you going to school and everyone looking the same, you are the only one different. So the mental sharpness, like, you know, clarity is also going to be reduced, because she's gonna be feeling like, oh, I'm different, I don't have a uniform. So she will not go to school, even for lack of uniform. Another thing I have to tell you also, because of the economic hardship, and because also of lack of financial education, very important. A lot of kids don't even have simple thing as notebook and pencil. How much is notebook? Some places like 200 naira or even less than that, and a pencil. You can't tell me a whole household cannot afford to buy their children a pencil and a book. So when I go to these villages, sometimes you go past through some village, they are rich, they have cows, they have farms. I don't own a land. I don't own a chicken even. I don't even have a chicken, but they're richer than me. But their mindset is not thinking, what can we do? You know, like this book is important. There was one time when we went to a village and we have to gather them and tell them, look, we are not here to give you anything free, but we are here to teach you how you can make something of yourselves. They don't have water, you know? So we told they don't have cash. But what we did was, how much is the chicken? Everyone has chickens.
Sorry, I'm going to pause there. When did you go to this village that doesn't have cash? In what time or what year is this?
Oh, as recent as 3 weeks ago.
Oh,
when
in Nigeria
I say they don't
now.
have cash, I'm saying when you think of somebody as poor, what kind of, like, in what way? You have a farm. You are rich. You grow crops. You sell it. I don't have a land. But you look at me thinking that I'm richer than this person. They have cows. They have like assets. Is what I'm telling you.
They may not have physical
yeah,
paper,
they may not have
assets.
cash in the bank, but they have assets. So we say, how much is the chicken? 6,000. They can sell one chicken. If everyone will contribute a chicken and sell it, bring the money, you can build a borehole. Because water, access to clean water is also one of the stumbling blocks that makes children late for going to school. It may not hinder them from going to school, but you see girls
will not take
early
the school
in the
seriously.
morning going far away looking for water. And the people are just sitting there thinking, they don't have the awareness, the thinking, the right mind to think about what can we do. So when we go out there trying to help people solve problems, we need to sit with them and ask them. And in talking, you can find out even they are able to solve their own problems. And they were very happy to see that they can do that for themselves. They take pride in this water well because they invested. And so if it breaks, they are most likely to fix it. And the availability of water helps that neighborhood or that village, their children, to be able to go to school on time. Because their problem was not going to school, was the excessive lateness for the girls.
All right.
So you've started telling us stories, because that's what my question is. I'd like for you to, if you have like a personal story of a person or a girl child, you know, who by virtue of attending school has changed the life of herself and her family.
So it's important to track history, because sometimes when you look at what have people done in the past and how have they made it, you are able to bring their stories to the current situation. Like Nigeria today is United States yesteryears, it's Europe yesteryears, it's Middle East, it's Asia, you know. Ruby Bridges, a 10-year-old girl who broken all barriers. She was the little girl out of Louisiana in the United States who, the first girl who attended all white schools. Can you imagine? That was 1960, before I was born. A 10-year-old going to all white school. It causes that all the children in her classroom, their parents withdraw all the kids. She was going to school for 1 year with U.S. Marshals accompanying her to school. Imagine that pressure. Because of Ruby Bridges, I was able to attend school in the United States and be able to be called today Dr. Hauwa Babura. Her resilience, but guess what? It wasn't just Ruby Bridges. People need to understand government have a lot to do in increasing or supporting girl child education. If it hadn't been for the law, she will never be able to achieve her dream or become this hero and breaking all these barriers, where how many ever years that I now sitting here, over 50 years, I'm able to go to school and be treated equally, sitting in the same classroom with the white teacher, black teacher, and white students. That barrier has been broken, you know? And who else? The parents, the community. So it's a whole system of stakeholders. If we want to see any change, we have got to come together. But the number one pillar is the support from government. If government says yes, nobody can say no, because they have rights over children. And that's what I want people to understand in Nigeria. It's supposed to be that I cannot have rights to deny a child education, because the government should be able to come after me to say,
even as a parent.
As a parent, even though this is your child, but legally you cannot deny them education, because denying education for a girl is abusing the child. And there should be a law. Under the law of child abuse and neglect comes the denial of education. It's just as if you deny a child food to eat.
Okay,
Simple as that.
Dr. Hauwa, how can we measure the impact of girl-child education on national development, and what indicators can we use to track the progress?
So, like for example, in Nigeria, you can see that, I'll give you an example as Hausa Muslim. Back in the days when I was growing up, we didn't have girls nurses. It's all from the other parts of Nigeria. And that is because of the uniform. For example, nurses back in the days have to wear short skirts, no scarf, and a little hat. And that prevents mothers or parents from encouraging their girls to become nurses. Once that uniform was changed, what happened? Now we have more nurses from our own neighborhoods and cities, because we are able to dress the culture and the religion. So when you want to educate a child, also a female child, you have to look at the perspective of, is it going to influence her culture? Is it going to influence her religion? Will these factors affect that change? And like we asked the question, I'm saying visibly now, even without me bringing you a research, you can see the difference. That when you go to hospitals, women are the ones who get pregnant. Women are the ones with women issues. You can see visibly we have a lot of female doctors. If I go to the hospital, I will want a female to check me. I will feel more comfortable to tell her what's wrong with me. So right now in our schools, right now I'm telling you, like in Jigawa State, we are working to increase female teachers. You can go and find a secondary school with over 700 students, only 1 or 2 female teachers.
Really?
Yes. And it's very important to support the education in the education sector or field of female teacher, because a female teacher will be able to like relate a lot of issues with this young girl.
Is this a northern Nigerian thing that most female, especially, do not, work when it comes to male people? The male are more, how will I put it, Chiamaka? The male civil servants are much more than the females.
Yes.
Is it because of girl child education that's not that?
That's why United Nations is really has developed these sustainable goals, where one of the goals is for the girl child education, to support the girl child education, because globally we've been struggling with the women issues. But now it comes down to the education of a girl. We know globally that it's very important. Like I told you, it's like a rain saying to educate a girl is to educate a nation. How does that affect a whole society? Like I'm telling you, when you look at our workforce, like right now, I know in my state, 2% of female make up Jigawa state workforce, 2%. So wherever I go, you see 100 men and it's only me sometimes, And for the education in our schools, it's kind of different. In United States, there are more female teachers
than the
male. And they are looking for males. And also in the United States, there are more health workers, more female health workers, and they are looking for male health workers. Well, in Nigeria, we have more male teachers than female teachers. But there are a lot of barriers that are preventing women from going to work. Like I said, one of it could have been access to simple things as bathroom. Just that. It's not always about marriage conflicts or cultural, different issues. It's also equity, access to simple things that will make life comfortable for you. Maybe distance, maybe transportation. We don't have a transportation solely for female, Even though in Kano we have seen the rush for this tricycle thing, they call Adede Tasahu. I think the history of that was to help women have access to like market and go about their business, but it's still dominated by male. I think there was one story where I have seen one female commercial tricycle driver, one in Kano. I don't think you have any in Jigawa state or neighboring northern states. So the girl education will open up a vast majority of economic pathways where we can see a lot of changes in market. We can see changes in the education sector, the health sector, and I think all sectors that is for development of society.
Okay, all right. So you've said quite a lot of things, and while Maryam was reading the introduction, said while progress has been made. Now, do you believe that we've actually, how well can you gauge the progress that has been made, and how far do we still have to actually go? And of course, again, away from the government, what roles can we as individuals play in seeing that this is achieved? Also, there's this thing that we've focused so much on the girl child, and we've seemingly left the boys behind, and now we're not having a plague coming up.
Exactly.
Yes. Soon enough, if we don't do something, we're not going to have
and it's going to have effect on the girls much later.
And we'll still come back to the girls again, because apparently we're the receiving end of most of these things.
Yes. I'm going to take the question from last to the top because I don't want to forget. This is very critical and very important. When we also ignore the boys, the same factor is going to further affect the girls, because then now you are putting pressure on the female to be the breadwinner, because then she has to get pregnant by nature. Women have to be the ones to deliver, right? The housework is there. Everything that a female will do as a nurturer to nurture the society or her household will be there, including now that she's empowered, she has education, and she's able to work. Then she's have all this pressure, all this work on her, and then we are neglecting the boys. So their lack of is going to then have a negative effect on the female. So when we look at girl child education, it's very important and critical to have that balance, because if we don't, the men or the boys sitting and doing nothing is going to affect the progress of their gender, opposite gender. So it's very important not to forget the boys also. And so from what you have asked in the beginning, like what we are doing in Jigawa State is really working. Right now, as I'm talking to you, we are looking into our female teachers. What can we do to increase female teachers? What are the barriers? What can we do to change this trajectory so that our system will have a balance and our girls will have role models to look up to and be access to female exclusive issues that needs to be addressed by another female. We are looking into that. And then in our state, of course, our governor has made it that all females' education is free.
This should be like everywhere in Nigeria at some point.
And if you go to Jigawa now, we have a college for a university has a big education department in Kafin Hausa. And when you go to that university, you see a lot of females. A lot, more than the ratio is out, more than the men.
Okay,
more than men, yes. And all of them are going to school for free as long as they are Jigawa indigenous. And Jigawa is not only paying for Jigawa indigenous in Jigawa, they also subsidize their fees from other neighboring states.
What advice can you give the government at this point to imbibe this, to follow this footstep? Should be the whole of Nigeria at least. It should be like the child education at this point, not girl child or boy child, because yes, Chiamaka carries a very critical and important point that we should not ignore the girl child, the boy child. So if I were to sit here and give advice to Nigeria as a country dealing with out-of-school children, I would like to tell Nigerian leaders that please, when you focus on out-of-school children, and out-of-school children comprises of girls and boys, make sure you factor in equality is different from equity. And you can never achieve equality without enforcing equity. And when you want to be fair and justice to the girl child education, equity must take precedence. Equity must be priority, because in that is where you will find unique ideas or unique problems that hinders the education of a girl child, and you will find unique solutions that will enhance and support the education of a girl child. Not only you will find solution, you will find liable and long-lasting solutions. Okay, you talked about equity and not equality. So how can we ensure that girls' education is inclusive and equitable, particularly for those with disabilities?
Oh, yeah.
Or from marginalized communities you start talking about?
It's just what's on my mind, yes. We often forget special needs, and so we also need to be able to be inclusive. And inclusivity does not really mean only girls. It means also having in mind those children with special abilities, because we don't call them disabilities anymore.
Yes.
When you say, okay, yes, I have built a school, you have access to go to school, go. And you didn't provide a place for wheelchair.
The ramp, yes.
Yeah, the ramp. And you didn't provide wide enough bathroom doors where a wheelchair can enter. You didn't provide water.
It's not been considered.
Yes,
actually.
and you didn't provide sensory items even for the little kids with autism, little kids with behavior like ADHD, all kinds, kids with vision problems. You didn't train your teachers how to manage their classrooms, how to treat children as individuals, uniquely individuals. How a teacher is able to figure out if this one has learning disability. It's not just disability or special ability, it's not a physical thing. You may have a child who can run, walk, jog, shout, and is having some intellectual disabilities.
Yes.
So we need our teachers to be able to know that this is what is going on. You are not a doctor, you are not a diagnose, but you are the first responder. You are a teacher. You are supposed to get this milestone trackers to be able to call a parent and say, hey, you know, I just noticed that when, you know, Khadija is sitting at the back, she's not able to see the board. You may want to go to a doctor and see if she may need glasses or not. Oh, I just noticed, you know, she's not hearing me very well. You know, was she born early? Is there? You have a conversation with the parents, and you be a resource person to help them to be able to go to the doctor. You're not diagnosing, but even doctors, how many times do they see children? You know, there is a study in the United States, which I was part of it, and we studied the number of hours a doctor sees a child. And anyway, the conclusion of the study is that they found that children are more at school in their lifetime.
Yeah.
From when they start school until graduation in secondary school, not university, than they are with anybody, including doctors. So what they did was made even daycare centers, a place for nursery. They made those as a resource people, where a doctor can get information. Because you go to a doctor's office, they just look at you, okay, yeah, what's wrong with you? How many minutes, how many seconds? But a child is with the teacher all day. And at home, they eat, they play a little bit, they go to sleep. Their active day is in school. So we definitely need to pay attention to inclusivity and equity when it comes to girl-child education and the education of children with disability.
So in 1 minute, what message do you have for policymakers, stakeholders, and the general public about the importance of prioritizing girl-child education for national development?
The advice I have for policymakers out there is that, please, when you sit down to make these policies, make sure you are not forgetting the people you are making the policy needs to be there, because you should not make policies without understanding the needs, and you should not bring needs without being in the community. A lot of times the problem we have with policy is the policy makers are not bringing in the right people on the table that they are making the policy for them. So we need to not make policies for people without them in on the table.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hauwa, for coming to Daybreak Extra, and thank you for giving us your profound insight about this topic this morning.
Thank you guys for having me. Thank you very much.
And that we've been talking to Dr. Hauwa on girl child, a very important recipe for national development. And in case you missed it, please do well to go back on our YouTube page and listen to this conversation where she shares deep insight. She herself personally is actually a beneficiary of a girl child education, and she talks about how it has helped her life as well. Now we're going to go on a short break, just very short. When we return, we'll go to entertainment stories. Stay with us, we'll be right back.